"Daddy, she looks like Mommy." The small voice echoed across the elegant restaurant, slicing through the quiet chatter. Charles Benton, a sharp-suited CEO known for his calm composure, froze mid-sip. His 6-year-old son Miles was staring toward the entrance, his eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and hope. Charles followed his gaze, and his heart stumbled. A woman stood by the door, clutching a worn handbag and scanning the room nervously. She looked painfully out of place among the glittering chandeliers and designer dresses. Her simple blue dress hung loose, and her shoes had clearly seen better days. But her presence, something about her carried warmth, the kind you couldn't fake. She was Grace Coleman, a single mom who'd only come because someone from her community center said an extra seat at the charity dinner was available. She hadn't expected that seat to belong to him, Charles Benton, the man whose name she'd seen on billboards. The hostess led her to the table, clearly uncertain. Grace hesitated, whispering, "I think there's been a mistake." Before Charles could speak, Miles blurted out, "You can sit here." "Daddy, please?" The boy's pleading eyes softened something deep inside him. Since his wife's death 3 years ago, Miles rarely smiled. But right now, he was beaming. Charles cleared his throat. "Please, have a seat." Grace sat carefully, offering a polite smile. "Thank you. I'm Grace." "Charles," he replied stiffly, but his gaze lingered. She had the same calm energy his late wife had. Gentle, patient, grounded. Miles leaned forward, whispering, "You look like my mommy." Grace froze for a moment, then smiled softly. "That's a very sweet thing to say, Miles. I bet your mommy was beautiful." Charles looked away, his chest tightening. He should have corrected Miles, but he couldn't. For the first time in years, his son looked alive. About a minute into the awkward dinner, Grace began to talk, filling the silence with light conversation about her work at the daycare. Her voice carried sincerity that pulled both father and son in. When Miles accidentally spilled his drink, she crouched down instantly, comforting him with warmth that felt familiar. Her kindness made the room feel less cold. If stories like this move you, stories about love, loss, and second chances, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep telling voices that deserve to be heard. Charles found himself smiling as he watched them laugh together. Something inside him, a part that had gone quiet since the funeral, stirred again. When the check came, Grace reached for her purse. "Please, let me pay for my part. I don't want to impose," he stopped her gently. "You're not imposing." Their eyes met. For a brief second, everything around them faded. Outside, the night air was cool. Miles clung to Grace's hand as they walked toward the exit. She laughed when he told her his favorite cartoon character was Super Pancake, and Charles caught himself smiling again, really smiling. At the curb, she turned to him. "Thank you, Mr. Benton. That dinner meant a lot." "I don't usually get invited to places like this, Charles," he corrected. "And it was nice having you there." She smiled softly, then disappeared into the night, catching a late bus that squealed down the street. That night, Charles couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about her, the sound of her laugh, the way Miles had clung to her hand, the softness in her eyes when she spoke about her son. The next afternoon, his car idled outside the daycare she'd mentioned. Through the window, he saw her kneeling among toddlers, tying a child's shoe with patience and care. Something about that scene, so simple, so full of grace, made him step out of the car. When she noticed him, she blinked in surprise. "Mr. Benton, everything okay?" He smiled faintly. "I just wanted to thank you again." "For the other night?" She looked down, embarrassed. "It was nothing." He hesitated. "Maybe Miles and your son could meet sometime?" "He keeps asking about you." She smiled softly. "That would make Eli's week. He doesn't meet many friends." A few days later, they met at a small park. The two boys ran wild on the swings while the adults sat on a nearby bench. "You're good with him," she said. Charles's gaze followed his son. He wasn't always this happy. Losing his mom changed him. "Changed both of us," Grace nodded, understanding. "I get it. I lost someone too, just differently. My husband left when Eli was a baby." Their eyes met, And in that quiet exchange, they both saw something rare, understanding without judgment. Over the next few weeks, they met often, coffee, park days, school fairs. The boys bonded instantly, and so did the adults, though neither dared to say it. Grace's laughter began to fill Charles's once silent home. She taught Miles how to bake muffins. He taught Eli how to play chess. Life began to bloom again, quietly, without announcements. Then one evening, as they finished dinner together, Miles turned to his father and said innocently, "Daddy, can Miss Grace be Mommy now?" The room went silent. Grace froze, color rising in her cheeks. Charles's breath caught. "Miles," he started, but the boy continued softly. "She makes you smile like Mommy did." Grace blinked back tears. "That's very sweet, Miles." Later that night, after she tucked the boys in with a bedtime story, Charles walked her to the door. "I'm sorry about what he said," he murmured. She smiled faintly. "Don't be. Kids say what they feel." "And he's right about one thing. You smile more now." Charles hesitated. "That's because of you." Her eyes widened, and for a moment, neither of them moved. Then she whispered, "Good night, Charles," and stepped into the cool night air. But she left a warmth behind that no season could replace. A few weeks later, Charles showed up at the daycare again holding flowers. Grace came out puzzled. "Charles?" she asked. He exhaled slowly. "Miles was right. You do look like his mom. Not because of your face, but because of your heart. You brought life back into our home." Tears welled in her eyes. "Are you sure this isn't just grief talking?" He shook his head. "No, it's hope talking." For the first time, she didn't look away. "Then maybe hope deserves another chance." As he took her hand, two boys' laughter rang from the playground behind them, bright, free and full of healing, and for Charles Benton, a man who thought life had ended with loss, that sound became the start of something new.